'Cause you never know what tomorrow brings in this crazy life. Hey, this life, this life, this life.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to melt an entire group of people in Elder Scrolls Online PvP? Have you ever wondered what it feels like to just absolutely destroy somebody 1v1 and hit them with so many moves at once that they whisper you and tell you that you're cheating? Have you ever wondered what it feels like to summon a skeleton, to summon a gigantic monster to slap the ground, and to summon a graveyard, bringing up the dead bodies from the underneath to kill someone, all at once? Then this is the video for you. This is my Harmony Magic Necromancer PvP build. Oh baby, it's time. It's time to tell you about what Barba223 runs to melt people. So let's just get into it. It's your boy, Barba223. We're back with another video. And this is it. The build that I've been posting recently, the one that you guys have been asking for, is the Harmony Magic Necro build. So let's just get right into it without any no delay, nothing, none of that. All I will say is make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I can't even talk. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe because it is very important. We are at 420 subs. We hit 420 subscribers on 420. I guess that's a sign. But anyways, let's just get right into it. So, we'll start with the character screen. Of course, these are unbuffed stats. So, I'll put my recovery buff and my armor. Oops. Alright, so here we go. We got 35.5k magic, 29k health, 18k stam. We have 3k spell damage almost unbuffed, 25% crit, which is really not that big of a deal. We got 10k pen unbuffed. We have pretty much maxed out resistances. This is like future Barba re-recording this little part. So the character screen is, we have 35k magic, we have almost 29k health, 18k stam, we have almost 3k spell damage unbuffed, which is very solid. We have 25% critical, which honestly isn't that big of a deal. We can kind of chill out with that. It's not really a big deal. I can tell you something else you could change if you wanted to, but yeah. So we have almost 1600 recovery just without a potion. So if I can, do I have any magic potions in here? Yeah, I'll use one of them. So I'll use that, and then I'll show you. So we almost had 2k recovery with a potion, and then of course we have pretty much maxed out resistances. So that's very solid, and almost 2k crit resist. So what I also wanted to show you is the weapon. So that's our character screen. We have 10k penetration unbuffed. That goes up a lot higher with weakness to elements. So the weapons we're using are spinners, lightning staff. Now I think lightning staff is by far the best because where are you at? We have 8% extra AoE damage with lightning staff on. So blast bones is AoE, grave robbers AoE, shock clutch is AoE, glacial colossus is AoE. So really nice there. We're using a poison glyph. Honestly, you could literally use any glyph you want here. Literally anything. Like shock's good, but you have a shock staff, so you're already gonna apply that shock status effect constantly. So don't be too concerned with that. Poison is just what I was using. You can use whatever. Befouled to lower their healing maybe. But yeah, spinner's lightning staff. Great. On the back bar, we're using a restive staff of endurance. Now, you could use willpower if you want to get a little bit more magic, or the main reason I'm using endurance is because I had powered on it, and that's the trait I want. Extra 9% healing is very, very nice. As you can see, we have a 12k tooltip with our heals, so like, very good. So getting that extra healing is beautiful. I mean, there's no need to run defending, because as I said before, our resistance is literally almost maxed out already, so like, it's not that big of a deal. And we get extra health. I mean, at least on the back bar, you can heal up to a higher cap. So I mean, that's nothing to complain about. So I like that. And then of course you have the weapon damage buff on it as your glyph. So yeah, if you really wanted to, you could go infused and get the extra healing from that glyph, but I like the flat healing. So yeah, that's what I like. That's what I'm using, guys. And yeah, this is Future Barba. Getting back to the original video, so I apologize if the editing or randomly cuts to me saying something else, but I had to fix that. the static for my mic. I actually am getting a new microphone, a studio microphone, very soon to record new videos. So, yeah. Anyways, back to the regular video. So, those are the weapons. Thanks. I really just like having the... I'm sorry, let me find it. This one, getting major mending after completing a heavy attack. That's so nice, so nice, so nice. Being able to do 25% extra healing. I literally, like, if I heavy attack, like, if I kite behind a wall and then heavy attack someone and get my major mending back, and then I use a resistant flash, I'll literally heal for, like, 12k. So, that's really worth doing. And then, of course, this one, getting extra heavy, or extra magic back from your heavy attacks is very, very nice. So, I think it's good. Some people aren't a fan of the Resto Stab. I am, so... that's what I like. So here we go. So on the body, we're using 5 pieces of fortified brass. You get a line of health, you get armor, and then you get, you guessed it, more armor. So we're not using a monster set here. I will tell you why when I get to it. Well, we're not using one piece of monster sets. We'll tell you why when I get to it. So I don't have a lot of impen. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I know impen's great. And for some reason, like, I was gonna transmute it, but like I've been having no issue staying alive, so like I haven't needed a lot of impen. Of course, impen is good, so if you want to use it, go ahead. But of course, on this piece, I have infused. This is how I bought the piece, as it was a gold piece. It was infused already, so I had the triglyph on it. So that's nice. Maybe I would say go infused on the big pieces if you can, or reinforced and get that triglyph, because that'll really help a lot. So that's nice. But yeah, we have a couple infused, we have a couple reinforced, a couple divines. Like, it's not ideal. The traits aren't ideal, but like I'm saying, you can literally, this is preference again. I think impregnable, or not impregnable, impenetrable, I'm sorry, is the best trait. That's my opinion. I like reinforce. My top 3 would probably be impen, reinforce, infuse, or even divines. It doesn't, it doesn't. It's whatever you want, so keep that in mind. But yeah, we're running a 5 piece of fortified, and then of course the other piece, others 5 pieces spinners, and we're running 1 heavy, 2 heavy, 3 heavy, and 4 heavy. So 4 heavy, 3 light. I really like that right now. You can go 4 light, 3 heavy if you want. Drop a little bit of tankiness and build a little bit more into recovery and reduce costs in that area. But I like the 4 heavy because a lot of times you're outnumbered and you need to be tanky to be able to get your ultimate up and survive and be able to line up your burst, because as a Harmony Necro it's really tough to line up your burst, and if you do, it works properly, but you got to be able to do it first, so you got to stay alive. Yeah, so the jewelry, 2 pieces of willpower. As you can see, we have 2 spell damage glyphs, and we have all harmony. Of course you have to have all harmony because you're big boy grave robber, right? So that's the harmony build. You have 3 pieces of harmony. Of course you want to get these gold if you can, but it's only a 2% difference. It's not the biggest deal. Now, what I was saying earlier is you could, instead of having 2 spell damage, you could go 2 recovery, so have all 3 recovery. That gives you an extra 300 ish recovery, meaning that kind of equals out to what the Atronach would be, and then you can go extra crit damage. So that's what I would do personally, because when your grave robber crits, it's gonna hit hard as hell. Like, it hits so hard when you get extra crit damage, because already you'll hit for like 12, 13, 14k even. So if you get that extra crit damage, it might jump up to like 17k. But yeah, of course harmony is a must. So yeah, you're running the 2 willpower. I mean, you could run 2 trainee too. You get extra health, but this is what I already had harmony on, so I just ran this. Like, don't get me wrong, you could run it. Of course, you have to have this piece here for the jewelry. You could run any jewelry piece you want here, really. Any 2. I mean, I just went with willpower. You could run trainee, or you could run 2 monster pieces and then throw 2 fortified brass here and then make that trainee. That was preference as well, but I just used willpower here because that's what I had in harmony already. But if you want to replace the shoulder and a helmet and put monster pieces, and then replace these with something else to fill out the 5 pieces, of course, just make sure you have harmony. Biggest difference, I tried running 2 harmony, and because I didn't have enough transmutes, and the build was just trash. It was poopy. Like, no, it wasn't as good. So yeah, that's the gear. Leave what you think down below, but I think that this has been working for me so far, as you can see in the gameplay I've been posting. So yeah, so the skills. First, we are running Inner Light. So, of course, I think this is another must-have skill. That extra crit is very nice. And on top of it, it gives you extra 5% magic, which is extra damage. So, apologies, I am yawning. But, yeah, that's, I mean, extra crit is nice. Like, it's just, like, you're at 25%, which isn't great. But, like, you'd be at, like, 12% if you didn't have it. So, it's a need. Very, very good skill, of course. It's just flat damage. You gotta have it. So next we have Elemental Drain. Now, a lot of times with your Grave Robber and your Pummeling Goliath, whatever it's called, I always mix them up. Colossus, sorry. You're doing a lot of AoE damage, so it's really hard to get Elemental Drain on a bunch of people. So hypothetically, in theory, you could take this off, but see, the reason I don't want it off is because even if you put it on one person, you're getting that crazy recovery back, right? So that minor magic steal is going to help you sustain infinite amounts. Like 168 magic every second is essentially 330, or almost 340 even recovery. So putting that on one person, and of course in a 1v1 situation it shines. It's going to really up your penetration. And I tried taking this off for a couple things. I've tried Skeletal Arcanist, I tried Shocking Siphon, I've tried Bitter Harvest, I've tried a number of different things, and none of them even compare. Elemental Drain is the GOAT for me right now, so I think it's a must. And of course you have Grave Robber. So it's an AoE on the ground. It summons a graveyard, does 14k over 10 seconds, consumes a cast or a corpse on cast to do 50% extra damage, which is very nice. And then when you're standing in here, you can activate the synergy doing 12k frost damage. So that's without a crit. That doesn't account for your harmony either. So you get an extra 60% on top of that, and that's not even buffed. Like getting an extra 60% damage on that skill is crazy without it even being buffed. I think when it's buffed up, the tooltip goes to about, I want to say 14k. So yeah, your Grave Robber is going to be hitting for like 20k unbuffed. That's before penetration. That's before your spell damage glyph. That's before you pop a potion, whatever. So very nice. I'll show you the lineups are crazy. So anyways, next is Blast Bones, your bread and butter, right? It does 12.5k without critting, and that's before any of the extra damage bonuses you get by every second. So they changed this a little bit from last update. So what it used to do is the longer the distance, the more damage it did, but now they changed it. Instead of the distance traveled, it's every second that it's active, because as we know, Blast Bones likes to be an idiot and have a cup of coffee before hitting somebody and take a nap before even trying to do anything. So now every second it ticks, it does 10% more damage, which I think is a really nice change. When you're chasing someone down, this can do a lot more damage. So next, as our spammable, another flex spot that I mean I've been using this, but again, you could change this. I mean, I've tried Elemental Weapon, I've tried Force Pulse, and I've tried Ricochet Skull. So the main reason I'm using this, so if you want me to put it in perspective, it has a lower range than them other spammables, but it costs the same amount. Now the reason you want to use this is because it does AoE damage. Now if we were using a Master Staff, this would be sweet, but we're not because of a no proc update. So this is still really good though, although it has a lower range, but who cares, because you really fight close quarters anyways. And the whole idea of this build is doing AoE damage in a quick, like, you're melting people. That's what you want to do. You want to use Graveyard and Blast Bones and your Glacial Colossus and melt people. So if you can hit more people at once with Shock Clench, because although if you do the math here, Force Pulse does about 6k, right? So like any spammable, they all have relatively the same damage. Now this also is pretty much a spammable, because in terms of damage and cost, because it does 5300, so that's a little bit less on one person, but upon the impact it does literally the same as Force Pulse on the AoE. So it's literally an AoE spammable. I mean, on a single target, it does a slightly less damage than it is compared to the AoE setting, but the AoE setting is what you want. So that's why I think it's really nice. Like, you could also use Impulse here, but like, it's so expensive. Like, it's really not worth it. Like, I mean, like, it does extra damage for how many enemies you hit, which that's nice, but it's not worth using. So that's all I'm saying here. Like, I would just use what you're using. I mean, I would just stick with using Destructive Clench. I mean, again, Force Pulse is still good because it can do an AoE sometimes if people have a status effect. Also, Elemental Weapon is nice, but I really enjoy heavy attacking, and then you can't do a heavy attack into Elemental Weapon. So that's why I'm using what I'm using. Again, guys, test it out. Use what's best for you, and let me know which one you like the most. I just like Destructive Clench or Shock Clench. So, sorry if you disagree, but that's just my opinion. So, next, another spot that has a controversial opinion in my eyes. So this is the best. So, I'll put this in perspective. This is the best skill to use here if it hits. Now, this skill is pretty easy to dodge, and sometimes you put it down wrong, sometimes people are not in it, sometimes people are just not in it by a tiny fraction of a centimeter. So the thing is with this, when it works and you hit them, best ultimate in the game. When it doesn't hit and it misses, it's annoying as hell. Now the main reason I say it's the best is because it does 10k, more than 10k when you're buff, with each smash. The final hit smashes enemies, but or smashes and stuns enemies, which is okay, but you're never really going to care about that. People are going to be dead before that. But the best thing is the major vulnerability. Now, because what you do, obviously, I'll just drop my. So you do this, ready? You summon the blast bones, whatever. Drop this, drop your grave robber synergy, bang, all that hits, they're dead. It's really that simple. It's really not that hard. It's just sometimes it's hard to hit, and that's why I say you could use Ice Comet. Because look at that beefy tooltip, 16k unbuffed, and it does AoE damage on the ground, so as soon as it hits, it's doing a bunch of damage to everyone in it, so that's really nice as well. But the problem with Meteor is that although it hits like a truck, it's easy to block, so that's the only problem with it. That's the only thing that bothers me about Ice Comet, is that it's easy to you can see it coming, it's so predictable. But it is, I think, better as pure damage than Colossus, but Colossus is a quick strike and it hits hard, so that's why I think Colossus is the best in slot if it hits. Now you could also use Dawnbreaker if you're fighting in a 1v1 setting, because Dawnbreaker is a stun, it's a CC, and on top of that, it kind of doesn't scale anymore to what your max to physical damage. You can scale it to max magic too, so it still hits like a truck. It's just, I don't think it's that great in a big AoE where you're trying to line up that grave robber. I really do think Colossus is the best, but don't get me wrong, Ice Comet is still really good. So that's how I feel about that. So on the back bar, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I apologize. We have Beckoning Armor. Of course, for our Major Resolve, the best part about this is it's cheap as hell. And it takes the role of a cheap armor buff, and it takes the role of a CC. This is why our build works. Having this skill right here carries the build. Don't use the other morph. You have to use this one. Because if somebody gets pulled into you, if you're standing here with your grave robber waiting, you can't waste it. You can't waste it or your damage is ruined. You're just chilling, right? You're playing from range. As soon as somebody hits you from range, they're pulled into you. Bang, you activate that synergy and they get melted. It's so nice. It's such a good play style. I love it. So yeah, use this morph. It really is nice to have an armor buff to your CC for you. I mean, it's not the best CC ever, but it's very good. So next, what we're going to do is have this, of course, Spirit Guardian. It's a must. The other morph is still good. It's a solid heal, but this is just literally major protection at all times. Like, that's so valuable. You just got to use it. So that's nothing to say there. And it also gives you 200 recovery, too. So, Braided Tether. This is just a little group skill. The other morph is better in my opinion. Mortal Coil. It gives you a stamina back, and that's very valuable on a magic build because if you can roll more, that helps a lot. Basically, extra stam recovery. But this one's a little bit of a heal if you're in a small group. It's a better heal for your team. It doesn't matter. They're the same skill. Whatever you want to use there. I mean, hypothetically, you could also use Rapid Regen, but why not use a skill that's free and it's really strong? So, yeah. Of course, we have Resistant Flesh. Like I said, it's a 11. Look at that, 12k heal unbuffed. So that's what I was saying. In PvP, I'll even heal for like 12k at times, which is crazy. And you also get that resistance, so it really caps off your resistance when you're lower health. Very, very nice skill. I think my favorite burst heal in the game, to be honest with you. It's such a strong heal. So, yeah. And then degeneration for your magic, sorcery. You know, your major sorcery buff, it gives you your buff for 22 seconds. It has a little bit of a tooltip, nothing crazy, but solid, you know, nevertheless solid. So, yeah. And then, of course, we have the Ravenous Goliath. It's super duper OP. It's, you know, you're unkillable. It's your oh shit moment, right? If you're ready to about to die, bang, pop this little baby. There you go. So, that's the skills, that's the gear, that's the character screen. I'll show you the CP. Bear with me. I don't have a lot of CP, as you can see. I'm sorry about that. I mean, I told you guys, many of you guys know, I'm new to PC. So I have 650, which is okay, a decent amount. But basically, I'll just tell you what are the 4 slottables I have. That way you can go into them trees yourself. So basically, we have Biting Aura. Extra damage done with AoE abilities. That is just from your Grave Robber, your Blast Bones, your ultimate abilities, your Shock Clench. Literally everything you do is AoE damage. So that is so valuable. Make sure you have that one all the way maxed out. Biting Aura. It's over here in the top right. Next you have Resilience. This one is very important if you are low CP. Trust me. So right here you zoom in on this constellation. You get to use this. Max that out if you can. Very, 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 very nice. So yeah. Next, you're going to have Untamed Aggression. Now, it's just going to give you flat spell damage right here. I would max it out if you have more CP. I don't. So, yeah. Then next, you have Max Magic. So, right here. So, really, that's what you're rolling with for that tree. For the red tree, we're going to roll with, this is Survival Instincts. While afflicted with a status effect, your core combat skills cost 5% less. That is right here, right in the middle. This one is good. Max it out if you can while I have a status effect. So anytime you have any status effect at all, mine are brittle, literally poison, shock, anything, like you get 20% reduced costs. So very, very important to use. Now next, we have Juggernaut. So while you're under the effects of crowd control is when you get stunned. If you didn't know, you have a 5-second CC immunity. So basically, you're always stunned, right? If you get hit with a Fossilized, you get hit with a Flame Clench, you get hit with a Concealed Weapon, you get hit with anything, you're getting that CC immunity, and bang, instantly you get 10% damage reduction. That stacks with your Spirit Guardian, so you essentially have 20%. And now something that goes with that perfectly is CC immunity duration. So now you get 15% extra duration. So not only do you get the 5 seconds, but you get 15% extra, and while you get that 15% extra CC immunity duration, you get the extra damage reduced taken. So I love these two in conjunction together. Very good combination. So, and then lastly, we're using the armor, straight up armor, Ironclad. It's just important to have. Actually, I'm going to put another point to it just because I have it. But yeah, that's the CP, guys. Adjust accordingly if you think that's not what the best is, but that's what I like to use. So yeah, as you guys can see, that is the build. It's pretty much all we have. Here we go. Ready? I'll show you. As you can see, I just hit a 30k Grave Robber. Like, it was nothing. So anyways, that's it, guys. That's the build. I will attach a couple different links of gameplay down below, as I have recorded a bunch already, so I will drop that in the description. And make sure you guys have a good one. Stay safe, and I appreciate it, guys. Keep showing love on the channel, man. I love it. Have a good one, everybody. More builds coming soon.